last month or even in January, there was one article published by Light Reading, and also I'm going to share that just in the background. It was very interesting that we had like somehow a shocking title. Let me share that with you. I'm sure many of us read it, but let me just bring it. So the title was "The Public Cloud Has Failed to Crack Telecom." And that will be my first question to you, Sherief. Why the public cloud has failed to crack telecom?
I think it depends on the perspective of how you see this like integration or partnership between the hyperscalers and telco. For the past 5 years, it's been a point for every single CEO today in operators or telecom companies to figure out what are the sweet spots that we can work together with a hyperscaler, not to compete with them. I don't think, from my perspective and experience in interacting with a lot of customers in the region and even outside, I don't think it failed. I think it's slowly adopted, right? And this is mainly because of so many different factors. I think we will go through them today in our discussions. But I think usually people, or most of the people that I talk to, when they say hyperscalers usually failing to adopt major mission critical workloads on the cloud, they always lean into thinking core and radio, hosting core and radio on public cloud. And that by itself, it's a wrong perspective, right? It's if you looked at how we look at the edge architecture today in any telecom network, public cloud are all positioned next to the central DCs, right? Not in the telco edge or aggregations. So we are saying, let's host a core and radio, which should be far away down in the near edge or far edge, into the central DCs. Of course, it will not work. So it depends again on the perspective of how everyone wants to position this. And again, I see a lot of different successful stories when it comes to IT orchestration. Also, SNBSS workloads is working very well. The B2B workloads are working very well. But when it comes to telecom architecture, there has to be a certain design in place. And even for Microsoft, we went through a lot of debates among ourselves. Can we do it ourselves? Yes, technically it works. If you spin up a container network function on public cloud, technically it will work. But would it actually work properly in production? It doesn't work from an architecture point of view. And also legality, because the first architecture that came on AWS was MVNO, and that famous publication that came out, and it was stopped because of the legality. Who will own the SLA eventually, which operators will not be able to handle to hyperscaler easily. So there has to be a split of responsibilities. There is a lot of operating models that need to be relooked at. And even for Microsoft, we acquired telecom companies like Metaswitch and Affirmed to acquire the DNA, because we were not a telco people. Or of our Salesforce team, they just go there and say, hey, you know what, let's migrate everything you have to the public cloud, because we are seller, we are working with enterprise. This is the first sales target that they will start having a discussion with the customer, and of course resistance will start. And this is, I think, created a big confusion in the market. And the reason we acquired Metaswitch and Affirmed is to have the telco DNA. So we have people who knows what is core, what is radio. They can able to have this architecture discussion and fairness discussion with the customers. And also we acquired the telco cloud of AT&T, which what we call network clouds. And the reason for this, because of from an architecture perspective, again, we understood that we need to spread across aggregation, telco edge, and even customer edge, those architecture from public cloud, so we can cope with operators' proposition. So I think, again, I don't think it failed. It's slowly adopted. There is a lot to do. There is a lot of greenfield and wide space of productivity and innovation that everyone needs to collaborate on, honestly. So that's my 2 cents.
Yes, Sherief. Actually, I tend to agree, because when I read the article, most of the talks is about the mission critical workloads and somehow linking the failure with the failure to host these kind of workloads.